It is 12:30, so we will go right ahead and get started. We'll take the first three questions. We'll go with Joe Chats from On Tap Sports, followed by Alex Campbell from Shigo and Glenn Crooks. So, Joe, please go ahead.
Thanks, Z. Hey, Frank, how's it going?
Oh, good, man. How are you?
I'm doing well. Another week of being
Recording in progress.
very excited. Curious. In the last week, we've had new coach appointments. Three new guys being brought onto your staff, including a new role with set pieces. I'm curious what you think these guys can bring to your backroom staff, and why you felt the need to, to get Ryan Needs on the staff in that role.
Well, I think that first of all, I think I had a great staff last year, also with CJ and Nico. Nico was a situation that it was a moment where he had finished coaching the national team of Cyprus, and it was a moment where he was able to come and help in 5 months, knowing that his mind was returning back where his family was. So that was great. CJ has been a big part of this club as a player. He was tremendous help to me. I think it was an opportunity for him through community relations to do something and be involved in a community and do the work that he really loves. And it's something that he wanted to get into long term, especially starting his foundation. There was an opportunity to get into that position right away within the club, and he decided to do so. It's great that he's still within the club. He has a lot to offer, whether he's on the field or doing his role in the community, which he has a tremendous passion for. And I think he's going to be a huge asset to the club in that aspects. So then I needed to find two positions. And my main goal looking into it, I wanted to get, first of all, someone that had MLS experience and someone that can specialize more off the ball as an assistant coach, more on the defensive part, knowing that we're all going to be involved and talking through these final decisions, but someone to be more his specialty. And I went through the process to interview different people, a lot of good candidates, but in the end, I felt that Paulo Nagamura, first of all, just a great human being, a lot of experience within the league, and I felt that we had a really good connection. He has really good ideas, extremely hardworking guy, very bright, and so for me, that was really a great moment to be able to offer him the job, but also for him to accept this opportunity to be involved in our club. And then with the appointment of Carlos Garcia, it's someone that's out of the box. I always look to bring someone that can bring different ideas. He has tremendous experience. Also, it played the game at the highest level. He's coached in different countries, and someone to specialize more with the ball. And again, a lot of great people that I had to interview and had to go through this process. But in the end, I felt Carlos was someone that would just kind of complement myself and the rest of the staff. We're still waiting for him because he's in the process of getting his visa. And then we always, from last year, we had talked about, bringing someone that can specialize and focus on set pieces. It's a big part of the game worldwide. It's just not here. It's an element in the face of the game that can decide outcomes. We had talked about it last year. We didn't bring someone on, but I strongly felt that we needed to make that move this year and bring in Ryan with his experience. I think it's going to be just a great addition to the club. And this could not happen if we didn't have the support of our owner. And I think, that's the biggest thing for me. When you talk about, MVPs and who the DPs are in any team, for me, I can look at players, but I look at our owner, and without him, none of this would be possible. So I feel now, since I've gotten all the pieces there, I think that we have an excellent staff, along with Zach Thorne, Odoris Andonopoulos, someone from last year, Jeff DeGroot, Nacho Terrano with the performance staff. And we have an excellent staff put together. I'm really excited. I think hopefully it answers your question, Joe.
It does. Thank you, Frank.
Thank you. Next, we will go with Alex Campbell from Shigo Sports.
Hey Frank, thanks for taking the time. Really appreciate it. I guess, we've got one preseason match in the books with a lot of the group being the same guys from last year and having kind of a set core. For you, what are the biggest focuses of these matches, given that a lot of these guys you know pretty well already? Is it more mixing in new guys? Is it, seeing how different guys combine together? What are you paying the most attention to, would you say, in these early preseason matches?
Yeah, I think, hey, Alex, thanks for the question. Really good question. I think when you step in a situation like I did last year, uh, I think there's some things that are set already. I think what I really try to focus on when I came in, it's really on the structure and the organization on both faces of the game. Last year, I think coming in now, being here from the beginning, it's really being crystal clear, what kind of team that we want to be. I think that with the ball, what kind of principles we want to have. It always starts with the structure. I think without the ball, the defensive side, it's all about organization. I think it's the same with the ball, but I think with the ball, for me, I'm the kind of coach also that we all need to be on the same page for sure, but it's also going off the quality of the players, giving them the ability to express themselves, giving them freedoms, putting them in the positions where they're going to be successful. And then that's the most important thing. I can have certain ideas, but I think in the end of the day, I don't even talk about structure, formation. For me, it really does. It's no point to talk about that because for me, it's just about trying to put players where they can be successful on the field, where they feel comfortable, what their strengths are, and then obviously try to compensate in areas where they're not as strong. But as a team, we can be strong all around. And I think more than anything than that, really solidifying the principles and the kind of identity and the team that we want to be. And you can only do that from the beginning. I think setting the tone, the expectations, how do we want to work together? What are the expectations daily? What is the culture, the values of this club, and how do we coexist? Because that really is kind of describes the identity. And I think that's very important. We've had an excellent start with the group. You're right. I do know a lot of the players from last year, and I think that is a benefit, and sometimes it isn't. So I'm so that's been the focus in preseason. We're still waiting now for some of the new signings with Arrigoni and Tobias Salquist with their visas. They're not here. I feel that this is really important part of the season because the preseason kind of sets the tone and builds the foundation within a team. And I can't wait for them really to finalize their visas. We've had Brian Dowd, the goalkeeper that we signed from a draft pick. The draft pick. It's good to have Chris Mueller back because he missed out the whole of last year, and that's the new signing. And with Chris, it's just he's got so much energy. It's almost like he wants to do everything and be back to his form in one day. And it's been the thing with me. It's just been really hard to communicate to him that it's going to take time. He's really looked really good, but the big picture and the focus are the things that I talked about. And one of my goals are in this really to focus in this phase of preseason. And then obviously when we play the games, you want to see some of the things that you work on the pitch translate into the game. And from a standpoint that, the players will have a heavy legs really to push through it, to have really strong mentality. And then you're always just praying for no injuries because no setbacks, because that really sets the players back when you do miss preseason.
Thanks, Frank.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you. And before we go with Glenn Crooks, I will say that up next will be Vasilios Skamnias from Soccer Subs podcast, followed by Russell Wifey. So Glenn, your line is open.
Hey, Frank, good to see you.
Glenn, good to hear you. I don't see you, my friend. So hopefully I can see you soon.
With the coaching profession steering towards more specialization, so we've seen it in analytics, and you've hired a set piece coach, Ryan. I'm wondering if you could elaborate a little bit on the importance of that position, why you can't maybe take a current or wouldn't take a current assistant and just have them focus on that. And that leads me to the question about the day-to-day responsibilities of Ryan Needs. Is it just set pieces?
It's just set pieces. Glenn, I think it's becoming, I think even our game, it's becoming more, you bring coaches that specialize in certain areas, whether it's a striker coach, set piece coach, and stuff like that. We can't do it, but it's such time consuming. And I think for a guy like Ryan that we brought in, his main focus it's set pieces. He gets the data, he analyzes the opponents. He's got to look at the minor details, even the little things. This guy's looking at his right shoulder at this moment. Maybe that half a second, I can, maybe go off his back shoulder and gain an advantage. So that is his main focus, really, scouting the opponent, looking at the strengths, and then coming up in the game plan and how do we approach, this opponent? What is the best way, defending the set pieces, but also, how can we be more dangerous and create goal scoring opportunities? So his main focus is that. I talked a little bit about bringing, Paulo Nagamura in, and, he's an assistant coach, but specializing more off the ball, coming up with the ideas, how do we press on a static situation, goalkeeper against an opponent? How do they look to build out, mid block to our final third defending? What is that going to look like? In the end, we all talk and come up with the game plan, and we talk, but I wanted to bring guys that can specialize in certain areas of the field. And, but as far as Ryan, that's a full-time role, man. And he needs to, this whole all day is just, his focus is on that. We work together also with the head of performance coach as we plan the week, and where do we find areas now that, where he needs to do, put the time in order to improve the team. 1/3 of the goals, I think, in the last World Cup, and, I don't know what to look at the averages within the league. 1/3 of the goals came from set pieces. So right away, you have to think that 1/3 of the time in the week, you have to put into set pieces. If you want to improve something, I think we have to put the time into it. It's great to have Ryan here. He's this is what he wants to do. He wants to be, that's what he specializes in. And now we believe in that. The players believe in that. We laid out the plan, what it's going to look at. And then you have to have also buy-in from the players. It's something that we talked about it with them last year. And once there's buy-in with them, and now there's a commitment, and then they totally understand, because it's something that could give us an edge on the field.
So as a follow-up, will your next request of the owner be a striker coach?
No, I think that's something that also within, even myself and Carlos and Paulo, it's an area that we can also, that we can do. That's easy for us when we do functional stuff. We can cover that, but it's the same like having a goalkeeping coach. You specialize in that. Set piece coach. It's a lot of hours. It's a lot of work daily. Not that the forwards are not, but that's an area that I think within us three, it's something that we know well, and we can cover that.
Thank you, Frank.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will go to Vasilios Skamnas. Hello, are you there? I can see you're unmuted, but we can't hear you. Okay, we'll come back to you. Next, we'll go to Russell Wifey.
Coach, good afternoon. How you doing? Good to see you.
Hi, Russell. Good. Thank you. Doing great.
I've got just one question. So, reports have been linking Polish striker Robert Lewandowski, who currently plays for Barcelona.
Okay.
You having this relationship, amazing relationship with the owner of Chicago Fire and the front office. Have you thought about bringing Robert Lewandowski to Chicago, especially me speaking to some of these Polish fans? They really want to see their striker in Chicago. Will drive sales, the marketing wise will be up there. Have you thought about bringing this amazing striker to Chicago? Thank you, Coach.
Yes, Russell. It's a great question. I'm sure that every team in the league would want Lewandowski to come, but unfortunately, he has 2 years left in his contract in Barcelona, and I don't think that Barcelona paid over 50 million to get him, Russell. So I don't think it's a player that's going to be coming to MLS especially right now. Incredible striker. I think with our Polish community, it would be incredible. But I think that's, to be realistic, it's something that it's not feasible at the moment. Russell, thank you for the question, though.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you. Next, and followed by Tim Hatza. Charles, your line is open.
Frank, can you hear me?
Yes, Charles, great. Thank you.
Hey, it's great to speak with you again. When we spoke in DC back in the fall, you know, it kind of felt like you seem to think that maybe big changes would be coming this winter, especially if you guys didn't make the playoffs, and you guys are able to run it back now, which I'm sure you're feeling good about, but I think there's maybe some questions among fan base and the wider MLS kind of community about you know, what it all means and what this Fire team is going to look like and what's going to change. So I just wonder if you could speak in the big picture on kind of what your message would be to those who are curious as to, you know, what this team is going to look like and how things change.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's no secret. We know that we've talked always the addition of a striker. You know, I can tell you that the club is working very hard. We're very close to getting something done. I can't speak more into that because I don't think anything is finalized at the moment. It's no secret that, you know, of certain positions that we talked about, it's been in the open. I think our technical side, sporting director and technical director have talked about it. They're working very hard. I'm confident that these things will get done. My focus right now is with the group that we have here. I think the players that we brought in already with Andrew Gutman, who's been a great addition, with Arrigoni and Tobias Salquist, having a guy like Chris Mueller, you know, that missed last year, that's in camp right now. I think that this guys, we've had a really great start. And I know that I cannot talk about anything else because unless it gets finalized, I cannot say anything. The only thing I can tell you is that, you know, our technical director, sporting director, they know our needs. We've talked about it. And, you know, I'm confident that something will get done pretty soon. So we need to improve from last year. You know, there's no doubt about it. Every team is improving. I think the additions that we brought in will improve the team. Even with Tom Barlow coming in, guys that have been successful in this league. But some of the, you know, key positions that we've talked about that are not filled yet, I'm confident that they will get done pretty soon.
I think your tactical model and your game model are going to be more or less what we saw last year. Do you have anything up your sleeve there?
No, no. I think I always have to wait to see the players that I bring in and what their strengths are. I think tactical flexibility is the most important thing because you can put one team in a certain formation, but that doesn't mean that's the way that they stay. You know, how we want to build up, how we want to create spaces, how we want to create advantages on the field that changes. And that's a lot of the stuff that we've been working on and stuff. I talked about earlier that without the ball, it's a lot about organization and be very, very clear. With the ball, it's the same thing, but also, you know, players with ability and certain qualities, especially in the final third, you have to give them the freedom and their ability to express themselves. And I think that's the most important thing. But it's all about the structure and how we can put them in the best position to be successful. But flexibility is something that we need to have. I think it's as a player, for me, I think you need that. It's not about being rigid. It's about players understanding always, you know, where are the advantages? How can they create them? Where's the pressure coming from? And their ability to make decisions. So the more that we can do at practice where it gives them the ability to solve different problems and we can all be on the same page. And that's why it's important in preseason to be able to work on this. The better team will be on the field. And I think that's going to be a key. The only thing I can tell you is this, that the team is going to be committed. All right. I think the one thing I've talked about is commitment, passion. You got to have passion. You got to be committed. You got to leave everything on the field, and you got to leave everything on the field when you put this jersey on. That I guarantee to the fans.
Thank you. Before we go to Tim, let's see if Vasilio's mic is working.
Vasilios, we got to get one Greek in here, man.
Hello, is that better? Hello, hello. Yeah, hello.
Yes, Celios, it's good. How are you?
Hey, very good. Thank you very much, Coach. I hope you're enjoying the warm weather in Florida right now.
I'm not complaining. I'm not complaining, but it's the first sunny day we've had, to tell you the truth. But I can't complain because my wife calls me every day from Chicago and she says, "How is it?" I got to tell her it's cloudy every day. And that's the truth. Today it's been the first clear day.
That's great to hear, Coach. And I just wanted to ask, without giving away too much, the team will be facing the New York Red Bulls on the 27th, who've conceded 0 goals while scoring 9th in their respective preseason matches. How has the team prepared for this opponent with a guy like who's been brought in, who's played for them for such a long time, and Tom Barlow? And do you think he'll maybe have a chip on his shoulder if he sees the field to try to get a goal or two? I'm just curious on that.
I think Tom always has a chip on his shoulder. Doesn't matter. He comes in, whatever you do, he gives 100%. But Vasilios, it's preseason. It's a practice game. You know, right now, even though we won the last game, we still have 0 points on the board. So right now, it's for me, it's just I really don't look. The Red Bulls could score 15 goals and 0. I think we have to prepare. I focus on my team. And the important thing is to see the things that we've been working on the field, really to be able to do that against a good opponent. Push through from a fitness standpoint. All right. Now we're going to push certain guys 45 minutes. The last game they played 30. You know, the guys, Tom Barlow and all the guys, when they step on the field, they're very competitive, man. And that's regardless. And really, they have nothing because I think that they really, Tom, his time that he spent with the Red Bulls was really good. He respects the organization. But now he's going to give everything for the Fire. So I think for me, and for all of us, that's the main thing in preseason. Continue to work hard. And then you want to see on the field the things that we talked about and we've been focusing on during the week, and able to do that against a better opponent.
And just to add on to that, would you have liked maybe for the preseason to start possibly a little earlier than it started for the Fire, to try to get a little bit more rhythm and fitness in the group?
We're all in the same boat, the whole league. So, you know, that's nothing I can do from my standpoint. You know, there's nothing I can do with that. We all have to obey by certain rules. I think the players have done a really great job. I mean, with our off-season programs that we give them and we stay in touch with them and we focus on that. It's a very long time. I do agree with you. It's something that we can never control. You know, the 64 days, longer than that we've been together to be able to do soccer stuff. And that's why I think preseason is important. And that's why when you talk about the Red Bulls, we got to put things in perspective. It is the second game that we played in maybe 70, 80, 90 days. So, you know, it's not about being ready now. I think it's a process step by step, but the important thing is to be ready when we play Philadelphia, because that's when things count and it matters.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to Tim Hadze. I saw you put your hand down, so I'm not sure if you still have a question.
Yeah, sorry. I do. Hi, Frank. Alex sends his regards. He's in class and couldn't get out. Otherwise, I wouldn't be pinch hitting for him.
No problem.
So speaking about the New York Red Bulls on Saturday, you talked about the difference between what you see in practice and what you want to see on the field in game situations. You know, realizing it's preseason, are there certain things you're looking for on Saturday, either from the group or from individual players, to show that kind of the rust is wearing off and that the game readiness is coming back?
No, I think from the team as a whole, I think we've been working on certain things with the ball, our ability now, you know, to build up play, depending how we're being pressed. I think our ability to recognize that, I think it's going to be important, you know, and we still don't know a lot about Red Bulls right now. They have a new coach. They brought some new players in. I know their DNA and what they're going to be all about. I think that's the main thing with the ball. I think understanding and realizing how are we being pressed, and, you know, can we break that press? Can we create opportunities in the final third? Can our rest defense, can we move up and stay compact as a team? Can we create opportunities to score? I think it's always great as players now to be able, you know, to score as a group, you know, and I think, you know, getting chances is great. But I think the ability now to finish, that's going to be important. And then without the ball is our ability now to stay compact, to be very organized. You know, how do we build pressure? What are the cues that we've been working on in training to see that, you know, against a good team? And I think those are the things that we're going to look at after the game and focus on.
Thank you so much. That was the last question. Coach, thanks for taking the time to join us today, and thank you for everyone on the call. We're going to do a little bit of a switch, so just a heads up, next up will be defender Andrew Gutman, and then following him will be defender Rafael Czichos. Time to speak with all of us today. We really appreciate it. We will go ahead and get started. The first three questions will go to Joe Chats from On Tap Sportsnet, followed by Tim Hatza and Tim, you're gonna have to tell me if I'm saying that wrong, from Men in Red 97, and the third one will be Alex Campbell from Shigo Sports. So Joe, go ahead.
Thanks, Z. Hey, Andrew. Joe Chats here in Chicago. Pleasure to meet you in this regard. Hope everything's been well. First few weeks. Oh, thank you. First few weeks with the squad. I'm curious, first impressions, how this has all been going, and the desire to return to Chicago. Obviously, some people don't want to come home. It can be terrifying, but to get that 3-year commitment as well, just curious how that's been and adjusting this last month.
Yeah, it's been amazing to come back to the club that I grew up playing for. You know, it's something that I always envisioned happening, and you know, thankfully this last off season it was able to come to fruition. So you know, for me, it's where I've always wanted to be, where I've always wanted to play. You know, so I'm thankful for the club bringing me back, and you know, hopefully I'm here for the rest of my career. That's my goal. And you know, it's been great so far, meeting the guys, meeting the coaching staff, you know, everyone involved with the club. It's been super welcoming, you know, helping me out when I need it. You know, and I think every day the team's working to get better and better and, you know, get the club back to where it's been in the past. You know, that's our goal. So hopefully we can achieve that in the future.
Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you. Next, we'll go with Tim.
All right, Andrew. So obviously you've got a long history with the organization. There was discussions of a first-time deal earlier in your career. That didn't end up happening. Looking back, what were those discussions like? How did it feel different this time around? And what made you want to kind of finally come full circle and back to Chicago?
Yeah, I think, you know, in this profession, you know, nothing's ever guaranteed. So, you know, when I was growing up and I was coming up through the academy, obviously there was discussions, you know, to stay, and you know, things happen. It didn't work out, you know, but I always in my head was thinking, you know, I want to eventually come back to Chicago. I want to be able to play for this club. You know, and thankfully guys within the organization kept good relationships with me. You know, every time we played in Chicago, I would still say hello and have some chats with some of the guys throughout the club. And, you know, I never felt like it wasn't my club. I always felt like, you know, the fire was a part of me. And like I said, this off season, everything kind of came together where there was a great opportunity for me to come back. You know, I was in a position where I wanted to come back. I wanted, you know, the prime of my career to be with Chicago. I feel like, you know, these upcoming years are going to be, probably the best level I'm going to be able to play at. And I wanted to be able to play for Chicago while doing that. So like I said, nothing's ever guaranteed in this business. I'm just happy that, eventually this got done and I was able to return to Chicago.
Thank you. Before we go to Alex, I will say the following two questions will go to Charles Boehm and followed by Vasilios Skamnias. So Alex, your line is open.
Hey, Andrew, thanks for taking the time to be with us today, and welcome back to Chicago. I guess aside from just the soccer stuff and being excited to rejoin your boyhood club, what are like the non-soccer factors? What are you most excited about? What are you most looking forward to about being back at home in Chicago?
Just being around my family. My girlfriend's family's here as well. I hopefully I'll have 50 plus people at every game, cheering me on and getting to experience what I do live. I was talking to my family this off season, and we were kind of counting the games that they've actually seen me play live, and it's at most maybe 1/3 of what I've played. So now for my friends and family to be able to watch me play live almost every single game, that's something that I've dreamed of. And just the familiarity of being at home, being at a club that I've known for so long, and it just feels better to me. It feels I have a new drive and a new passion with this club to get it back to where it was. And I'm just looking forward to all the success hopefully we have on the field, but then just also the great memories I'm going to be able to experience with my friends and family being back home in Chicago.
Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you, Alex. Next, we'll go with Charles.
Hey, Andrew, thanks for speaking today. I know you've already talked about this, but when I know you're coming home, but there's so much different at the club, right? So many different faces, even the crest. How does it feel? Do you perceive a lot of that change, and how have you kind of processed that?
Yeah, I think, the club has changed just like the league's changed from, when I was growing up and even my first few years in the league. And, I think Chicago is a club that's, kind of like a sleeping giant almost. It has such a big market, so much potential. We have a great owner that, is willing to do everything to get this club to the top. And, yes, things have changed, but there's also guys within the club that are still here that, when I was in the academy, getting opportunities to train with the first team. So it's nice to see those familiar faces still with the club. They know what this club's all about. And the new guys that they've brought in, their main goal is to take it back to the top. And, everything that I've experienced so far, I've seen nothing but, positive impacts within the club. And, it's coming back home and seeing all this, it makes me very excited for the future of this club.
Just one more for me. It seems like you've always had value. Like you've had all these clubs that went out and got you, but maybe you're in this weird class of players whose specific kind of value makes you more tradable somehow. And I just think that must have been infuriating on some level for you, and especially when you had to leave your hometown to get started.
Yeah, I mean, my dad always tells me, every time I've been traded or something happens, he's like, it's not a bad thing to be wanted, So I always look at it as a positive. Teams are willing to give up assets to bring you in. That's something that, to me, it gives me a lot of pride that, I'm good enough that teams want to do that. And, I'm grateful that Chicago was able to complete a trade to get me home. And, this is where I've always wanted to be. So, hopefully this is the last club I play for in MLS.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll go to Vasilios Skamnias from Soccer Subs Podcast.
How's it going, Andrew? Thank you for the time. And just a quick question without harping back too much on the beginnings and stuff, but what's a message that you'd like to give to the fans now that you're here? Like you said, you're committed long term, and hopefully it's the last team of your career. And just as a second parter, what's it like playing with Tom Barlow again? I know you guys spent a pretty successful year in the Red Bulls together. So is it nice to see a familiar face as well?
Yeah, I've known Tom for a long time. I played against him when I was at Indiana and he was at Wisconsin. Same with Chris, known him for a long time. So obviously Tom and I played together in New York. It's great to be back teammates with him. Such a good guy, and I'm looking forward to playing together again and hopefully helping him score a few goals this year. Yeah, and then to answer your other question, one of the, I think, misconceptions of what happened years ago was, I had no intention of playing for the Fire. That was never the case. I've always wanted to play for the Fire. I never wanted to play for any other club. So like I said before, in this profession, nothing is guaranteed. And unfortunately, years ago, it didn't work out. And it was something I was very, very sad about. And, every game I could watch of the Fire, I'd always watch them. I'd always keep tabs on them. So, for me, I just want the fans to know that I've always felt this was my club. I've never wanted to leave. And, I'm so happy that I'm back here. And I hope that I can repay, the club for bringing me back with my performances on the field.
Thank you.
Thank you. Joe, I see your hand is still up. Do you have another question?
I do. Thanks, E. I feel like we owe Andrew an on-pitch question. And I'm curious, so if you want to keep the Chicago stuff, Chicago Fire legend Frank Klopas is the coach, but how do you feel about the role he's been explaining to you about having, pitching to you for the upcoming season? And how do you feel initially working with that new back line teammates? You got Czichos and Wyatt, and Carlos is injured, and the guys coming in.
Yeah, I don't know if Frank will want me to give too much information on what my role is throughout the season, but yeah, I've had a few talks with him. I can say that I'm super excited about the role that he wants me to play within the club, both on the field and off the field. I think it's something that really fits who I am as a player, and hopefully I can show that this year on the field. And the back line, it's obviously a new back line to me, and I'm still trying to get to know a lot of the players, but what I've seen so far is really good. I'm super excited to play with Rafa, to play with Wyatt, to play with Maudi, who I grew up playing with in the academy. Haven't had the chance yet to play with Carlos, but I've played against him multiple times, and he's just a beast of a center back. So I think we have a really good back line going into the season, and hopefully we can be rock solid back there.
Thanks, Andrew.
Andrew, thank you so much for taking the time today. We really, really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Everyone else, we will be started. We'll take the first three questions from Joe Chats from OnTap Sportsnet. Then we'll go with Alex Campbell from Czichos Sports, and then Tim Hotze from Men in Red 97. All right, Joe, you're up.
Thanks, E. Hey, Rafa. Been too long. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. I'm curious, first few weeks back in training, new squad, but not entirely new. Curious how you're assessing everything so far. Frank said everything's a work in progress. So I'm just curious how that work in progress is going from your perspective as you're trying to get to the playoffs this year.
Yeah, first of all, I'm very happy to be back here with the team and to spend time with the guys. And yeah, I think we have now 2 new players here, plus all the draft picks. And yeah, of course, we are missing the other 2 additions we've made so far with the 2 defenders. And I would lie if I would say I think the roster is already good enough to play on the highest level. So to compete for the championship, I think everybody knows we have a little bit work to do still, and we are all waiting for it. But I think for right now, it's been fun here to be with the guys. I think we're working hard. And yeah, the first result in the first game 2 days ago, I think that was a good start for us.
Thanks, Rafa. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Next, we'll go with Alex Campbell from Czichos Sports.
Hey, Rafa, thanks for taking the time. You kind of mentioned part of this already, 2 of maybe your new backline mates yet to arrive. You've got a new man to your left in Andrew Gutman. So I guess in terms of like you personally, what's that experience been like so far? What's it been like getting to know Andrew, and how does it feel to be prepping, not really knowing yet who the rest of who the right half, I guess, of that defensive backline is going to be?
Yeah, I think I'm used to it. That even if you sign a new player, that it takes few days, few weeks to get them here. But for right now, with Tom and Andrew, and especially Andrew, because he plays next to me most of the time, I think we're gonna have a great chemistry on the field. It feels already very good next to him, and I like his style of play. I like the intensity he plays with, and yeah, like I said, and like he said before, I think we're gonna have a great backline this year, and I hope that we gonna be able to integrate the new 2 defenders that will come hopefully soon, as good as we were able to do it with Andrew and Tom.
Thanks, Rafa.
Thank you. Before we go with Tim, I'll let you know who the following 2 questions will be. They'll come from Charles Boehm and from Vasilios Skavnias. Tim?
Hi, Rafa. Thanks for taking the time. So you mentioned Salquist set to join the team. I don't know if you guys have been able to get in touch or speak at all yet, but before he's been able to join. But if you have, I would love to know what that's like. And if not, just how does it feel having another center back with providing competition, or what's the psychology with you and the rest of the group?
It's very important. I think we've talked a lot about the depth in our roster, and so every new player, especially with high quality, helps us. And yeah, it's a competition in the back line, especially in the position of the center backs. And this is what we all need. We have to perform on a high level every day. And yeah, for these reasons, it's very good that the club made some moves on this position.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we'll go with Charles Boehm from MLSsoccer.com.
Hey, thanks for speaking today. I was wondering if what your reaction was to the off season coming in before you came into camp. Do you expect there to be big changes in terms of the leadership, and how do you guys make sure that this season goes differently from last year?
Yeah, we're all working on it. That it's going to be different, and I think our front office is working on it too. And yeah, we all are very sick of not winning or let me say losing. And that's why we are working hard here in training camp. And yeah, at the end of the day, everything starts with a game in Philadelphia, and I think we're gonna be prepared well for it. I hope we're gonna have the new players with us, even the players we haven't signed yet, and then we will see. I think we will have a different mentality this year because the guys we already added to the roster, they have already a good impact on the rest, and yeah, that will help us for this season, hopefully.
Thank you.
Thank you. We will go last question to Vasilios Skamias from Soccer Subs Podcast.
How's it going, Rafa? Just wanted to ask you about the new additions on the staff, in particular Ryan Needs. As someone who's one of the veterans on the squad now, how has his addition in the early stages helped out so far? As someone who's going to be working quite closely with him, with you being a center back, set pieces kind of being your thing. So, what are your thoughts on these new additions for the staff?
Honestly, I know him for, what is it now, 10 days. And I already love this guy. The energy he brings us on the field, and especially in all the set pieces, is what we need. And I think we're gonna be well prepared for all the teams that will come to our stadium or to the teams we're gonna travel to. Set pieces is something I'm really looking forward, because we're gonna be tough to play.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Rafa. We really appreciate your time today. And thank you everyone on the call for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Rafa.